Today will be the final game in the first round of the online championship playoffs. We started with 16 competitors. We're down to 9, and after this game here between Spideyguy and Silverglen, we will have our top 8. Let's go ahead and go full screen. They're going to go ahead and start right off and disable the action timers. A little bit of nostalgia, I guess we'll call it, for their first matchup. All right, so Silverglen won game 1 by 6. So he will be Dark Side here, and he's going to play Dark Senate. My lord, is that legal? And Spideyguy is going to be playing, he is the Chosen One, and we'll see. It's 12 card Senate. Okay, that's about what I expected. Most Senates are 12 card just because getting Senators in your opening hand and stuff is pretty important to the deck, and there aren't really a whole lot of effects that really are necessary to play the deck. So you see a lot of 12 card starts with Senate. Light side starts the typical Wackling, Docking Bay Puller, and like my father to get Luke down. And these players are going to draw their hands and get going here. I fully expect this game is going to be very methodical. Senate is going to try and we've just featured them before a few times. Senate's going to put a couple guys in the Senate. They're going to be adding to their total attrition with Tombuk Tora. They're going to be pulling cards out of their force pile with Lot Dodd every turn, possibly drawing cards off the bottom of their force pile with Ticks. You've got Orn Ta Free, who gets guys into hand or gets cards into hand when you draw them for Battle Destiny. Silverglen's only getting 5 force though right now. He's going to have to find his location pullers, probably a couple of 2-0 locations, the bridge and the prison, the Cloud City security tower, and I'll probably have the matching pullers for those, and then 3 to 4 copies of Squabbling Delegates to get his senators into hand. Be curious to see whether or not he's playing any political effects. Most of them typically do not. But he does have Crush the Rebellion in his opening hand, so he'll go ahead and put that down right away. And now he's got to figure out what else he can do. He did start Maul Sight. The deck we just saw playing this the other night was using the Cantina. So they put Maul here, and then you can walk him over. Most decks usually use EPP Maul, although I have seen some using the Lone Hunter. And as for Spideyguy playing Hitco, I wouldn't expect too many surprises in this deck. I have a feeling it's going to be a pretty standard mains package. You're going to see some Weeses for the Boss Nass Battle Planes stuff, a token spaceship or two, Tantive, and either a Falcon, a Profundity, something like that. Your usual complement of characters, Luke, Obi, Lando Scoundrel, some version of Leia, Padme, Anakin, no Anakin, sorry, Padme, Chewie with Bowcaster, Solo, Corran Horn, Jyn Erso, Captain Hera, maybe a Poe Dameron, and then 4 to 5 Jedi Lukes, of course. Looks like Silverglen was debating on his options. He's just going to go right to draw. Now the question is going to be whether he's going to draw above 12. He does. It's always a risky thing because your only advantage by playing the 12 card start was having the extra cards in your hand, and if you draw above 12 and your opponent happens to have either a Grimtosh or an Escape Pod combo to go pull a Grimtosh out of their deck, you've just negated, you're back down to 8, and you've just lost your only advantage you had was getting extra cards in your opening hand, and now you've just given that away. So risky move by Silverglen, but I guess he's done his homework, done his research, and concluded that Spideyguy was not likely to play Grimtosh in his decks. So it looks like we got 9 people watching in the Twitch chat already. Welcome, guys. Thanks for joining us over here. Looks like about the same 9 people who are probably watching in the Jump lobby, but anyone care to comment on who they think is favored in this matchup or which deck they think is favored in this matchup? All right. So Spideyguy, he's got the Boss Nash Chambers in hand. He pulls one of his docking bays, and Luke comes out right away to the Ewok village. He's probably going to go look for a lightsaber, and he does. The Ewok village is the magical site where, while Skywalker here, Prophecy may not relocate. Prophecy of Force is the effect he starts, which basically adds an icon to each side while it's at a battleground, and then it relocates anytime someone drains with more than 5 ability at a location. But if a Skywalker's here, it does not move from here. So when Luke drains next turn, if he gets the drain, he probably will, this will move to this site here, and then it'll stay there as long as there's still a Skywalker there. Luke will drain for 3 for the immediate future. With Silverglen only getting 5 force, really isn't much he can do about that. He's got to find his activation. He's got to get his senators out. He's got to get his hover cam out. And those things are going to take time. So Spideyguy being aggressive and kind of leaning on him early, it could definitely force Silverglen to lose some key cards that he may not want to have to deal with. The other thing that the He is the Chosen One objective does, during your draw phase, you can retrieve any one card. Opponent can stack a card from hand to place it out of play instead. So he goes ahead and he retrieves his heading for the medical frigate starting interrupt, and he does spend the force to do it. And still saves 1 back in case he needs to grab anything or play any interrupt. Actually, he hasn't pulled his grabber yet, so he may be trying to figure out exactly what kind of Senate this is and what shields he may or may not need. In the meantime, Silverglen does get Ornn Freeta out. Ornn is the one, like I said, who lets you take a just drawn Battle Destiny into hand, similar to Mon Mothma for the light side. And then he does get his hover cam out, which, while he has a Senate majority, force generation here is +3. Oh, and it's also immune to the Watch Your Step effect. So, oh, and it's Maul Young Apprentice that he has. Interesting. So this guy we don't get to see too often, but it's one of the coolest looking cards in the game. That is a beautiful picture, good close-up shot of Darth Maul. When he swings a lightsaber at a Jedi, each weapon destiny is +1. If he hits a Jedi Master's power -3 for remainder of battle. This Maul is completely immune to clash and attrition less than 5. Usually this Maul ends up getting his double-bladed lightsaber, so now he's swinging twice at people, and any Jedi, he adds 1 to each. And if it's a Jedi Master, then they're power -3. Is that what I just said? Power -3, yeah. If he hits them, so. And he does move, gets the Cantina out, and moves Maul right into the Cantina. And he'll draw a couple of cards. We'll see how many force he saves. Yeah, you're right. Tartag Ornn just sitting out here by himself. I mean, I'm sure he's got a barrier or something like that that he's looking to hide behind. But having this character here, if his only ability 3, who doesn't draw Destiny, you've got a total of 2 power, because your power equals your politics at the Senate, during battles at the Senate, rather. I believe is how that's actually worded. During battles here, character's power is equal to that character's politics. It's interesting that it's only during battles, not all of the time. So something like Surprise Assault would be pretty terrible, but they're canceled because of the Senate. So Spideyguy goes to control tunnel vision to fish something out of his force pile, and it's going to get sensed by Darth Maul. So Maul's going to cancel the control tunnel vision, and his sense will go used. And with Spidey only having a 4-card hand, there's not a whole lot of options for what he can do. Obviously, if he was able to fish out any card he wanted, that would have been pretty beneficial in that scenario. Probably we could have found a character to go attack and clear Orn Free Ta here out of the Senate, and then if he controls, he'd cancel the hover cam. But not having only having 4 cards, certainly going to limit that option. He does go ahead and pay to drain with Luke. So Silverglen will have to lose 2. He's got 13 cards in his hand to choose from, but can't quite figure out what he wants. He may end up losing the sense out of the used pile and the card he drew for Destiny, because at least he knows what those are. Yep. That's exactly what he did. Why top deck something you don't know what it is? Lose the sense that now that he's played the do or do not shield isn't quite worth as much as it used to be. And Iceheart, yeah, I mean, she's good at getting rid of undercover spies, but something tells me he's got other ways of getting rid of undercover spies in this deck. Or possibly a no escape or something in hand to just go get her right back. Spidey's going to go get his second docking bay, so his non-battlegrounds should all be on the table by now. It's probably potentially got a Naboo battle planes still in his deck that he'll have to dig out later. But some people have stopped using that because of the fear of expand the Empire on the Boss Nash Chamber. Sometimes you just run an altar for that. Spideyguy is going to draw big here. Try and find something that he can go deal with. That Maul and that Orn Free, but I guess Orn Free is going to get some backup this turn. Oh, he's going to free ride Celebrate. We don't see this card played too much anymore. It cancels occupations, which is great, and that part's immune to sense. And then the other bonus is just to cycle back a used 5. You can peek at 1 card randomly from opponent's hand. If it's a speeder, ATST, or skiff, you steal it. That part almost never happens, but you never, certain decks, maybe you get lucky and find an ATST or something. But it's an easily cyclable 5. And it does help against occupation decks, whether we typically haven't seen a lot of Rebel base occupation lately, but entanglements run multiple copies of Tatooine Celebration, and then there are several Darkside Cloud City decks that will run Cloud City occupation. So I guess he was expecting Silverglen to play one of those. Yeah, at some point he could use Squabble to Retriever. Oh, so yeah, he is vulnerable to Grimtosh, but I'm sure he's going to get some cards out of his hand this turn. Alright, there's the Maul effect. This is the new Taco Bell effect here that lets you get Maul's lightsaber, lets you relocate Maul during their turn. So basically you move your guy in front of him and then hope he doesn't get beat to death. Usually you would do that and then like duel or something like that with the Maul strikes or something else you got going on, or disarmed or something like that. And then it lets you put the effect out of play to get the lightsaber back from the lost pile. Excuse me. Silverglen will go look for the lightsaber. It was not there, so Spideyguy will get to verify. I don't know. I thought Bill designed that card. Maybe not. Oh no, he was trying to design the other card. Always two there are. That hasn't come out yet. My bad. All right, there's Yeb Yeb. Now that's the second senator, but they don't have the matching agendas. He needs at least one with a blockade agenda to flip, or a third senator. Uh, Yeb Yeb does not have any of those. Yeb Yeb does have the benefit, though. Once per turn, once during your turn, you peek at top card of opponent's reserve deck. Either you put that card back, or you can lose a force to make that card lost. So you're always kind of checking, like before battle or something like that, see what your opponent has sitting there on top of their reserve deck, and then you can just lose a force to make it lost, whether it's a good destiny that you don't want them to draw, whether it's a key character or interrupt that you just don't want them to have, whether you just want to make them lose cards. Yeb Yeb kind of serves a very good function. I can't believe Silverglen's thinking this long. I'm just going to have to assume that his connection in the UK just stinks, and at some point in time he's going to have to be careful about his timer. I mean, right now he still has plenty of time left, but he's already almost burned nearly 10 minutes off his clock, so hey, 15 people watching on Twitch. We got more people watching on Twitch than we do in the Gemp lobby. Woo! Look at us. Yeah, we don't want to have more timing issues with these guys. For those of you who missed the fiasco during their first game, there was an issue where they were debating whether or not a take back, a revert, was going to be allowed. And while they were having that discussion, Spideyguy timed out because he didn't know about the 5 minute, or he wasn't aware he was at the 5 minute timer rule, or how it worked. He thought as long as you're typing, maybe it would still work. I don't know. Anyway, the game got timed out, and they ended up having to replay it. Luckily, they were only on like turn 3, so they weren't too far into the game that it had really began to like unfold yet, when everything kind of hit the fan. So luckily, they were able to resolve that situation, and then they restarted the game and finished it up. Okay, so now we're going to get an EPP Vader and an I Have You Now from Silverglen. He's going to go pull that with Crush, to try and take on Luke here. No barrier or anything like that, and Clash wouldn't work because it can get canceled by Crush. So Spideyguy would need like Jedi's Concentration or Blaster Deflection here to keep Luke alive. But even still, then, and then you would need to have a canceler for I Have You Now. It's probably the Hear Me Baby combo. The virtual card. The virtual Hear Me Baby that does like 7 things. Spidey's going to escape pod and go get a Hoojix just in case. First off, he gets a 1 out of his deck and puts a 6 back, but more importantly, he doesn't draw it for Destiny. Oh, now he's going to leadership to go get an Admiral or General. Probably going to get Obi, I would think. Yep, he gets Obi. No grab from Silverglen either. Now I'd be curious to see. I mean, Vader's not going to stick around. We know that. So it would be curious to see when he uses Yeb Yeb. I would probably swing first, let him swing back, play the I Have You Now, see if it gets canceled or not. Oh, he doesn't even battle. Wow. That was bold. He doesn't battle with Vader and instead opts to relocate Maul during the control phase and stack that site with two guys. Very interesting play. I would have expected him to battle, play the I Have You Now, clear Luke, clear the whole site, and then have Maul just kind of hang out as the lone character on table. But I guess Silverglen was afraid of his opponent having too many interrupts in his hand and too many possible counter cards. So he's going to take a different approach, a lot more conservative approach. Um, and he's just going to just stack up Vader and Maul together, just like in the movies, at the Ewok Village. Be curious to see, since he did save 3 force, didn't draw any cards, whether what tricks he might have up his sleeve, and whether he might have something like a You Are Beaten of his own. Um, you know, wait for Spideyguy to deploy some type of backup with Luke, like Chewie or somebody else like that, and then You Are Beaten Luke, and beat up on, you know, Chewie or Obi or whoever else ends up being left behind. Luke's going to get a bionic hand. It gives him a little bit more power and immunity, +2 to both. And then when he's at a battleground during battle, you can exchange a card in hand with an interrupt in Lost Pile. So you can throw away any card you want and get back a key interrupt. You see it cycling a lot with Clash of Sabers. People will play that 3 or 4 times throughout a game and just keep using the hand to keep pulling it back. Sorry About the Mess is another one that gets played pretty frequently. I have seen it, Control Tunnel Vision wouldn't be a bad card either to loop around and get back. And it looks like Spidey is going to make a move on the Senate here. Kenobi his game text is canceled, but he is, and his power will be 0 because he won't have any politics. But he will get to draw a battle destiny, and that destiny could clear out one or more of these senators. They're both only forfeit 4, so if you were to draw 5, he would clear both. And that would really set Silverglen back in terms of flipping his objective. He seems to be struggling to find ways to find senators at this point. And then Leia goes to back up Luke. Now he has the Hoojix in hand. We know that already, so it's not quite as risky. But if he didn't have that, he should definitely have been very concerned about a possible You Are Beaten scenario. He still could force push. That would be another way. He could force push and exclude, Maul and Luke or something like that. Especially if he hits Luke first and then force pushes and excludes him from the battle and makes him lost. So Silverglen does still have some outs here, but we'll be curious to see. I mean, obviously Spidey's gonna battle in the Senate. He's gonna try and clear one or both of these guys. Possibly could add a destiny with a rebel leadership and draw a second destiny, because he'd have a general in battle at a site. But it doesn't look like that's what we're going to see. Oh, Silverglen's clock is running, so I guess it's on him to whether or not he has any type of just action or weapons phase action. Oh, he does have the leadership, so there he's going to get a second destiny now. And now Silverglen has to think about grabbing it because he knows he wants to play the I Have You Now in the battle against Luke, and he doesn't want to have to worry about a third rebel leadership being played by Spidey to then limit him back down to one destiny. It's annoying. I feel like there are better cards that you'd want to grab in this matchup, but it might be in a situation where just based on where his hand is at right now, if he doesn't have like a sense or something, which it doesn't look like he does, he might end up having to grab that. I don't think it's the right move, but I feel like he's probably going to get forced into doing something he wouldn't normally want to do. What do you guys think? Grab the leadership? Don't grab the leadership here? It's the second time he's played it already on turn 3, so obviously he's got multiple copies of it. Oh, he's going to sense it first. He's going to sense it instead to try and cancel it. And he draws a 5, so that will be successful. So because of do or do not, he'll now have to lose 2 force. He top decks a lot Dodd. And he top decks another Accelerate. Now the leadership goes lost, but like we said before, he's got the Bionic Hand on Luke, so he has easy access to bring it back out. It's actually almost better for him having it in the lost pile right now, because if he battles and then he plays the I Have You Now, then he just exchanges a card with the Bionic Hand and gets the leadership and cancels it, so, or negates the extra destiny draws and limiting his opponent back down to 1. Light side does draw a 5 with their 1 destiny, so they will go ahead and clear both senators. Silverglen draws a Gick combo, which he will take into hand using Orn Free. And Obi's game text is canceled, so he has no immunity to attrition, so he dies as well. Well, not this turn, but obviously Darkseid's going to battle Luke at some point. Saying he can't use leadership again, it's unique. Right, it is unique. He can't use it right now, but obviously, yes, he could pull it back, with the Bionic Hand and play it next turn. I wasn't expecting him to battle this turn, to be honest, but it's not exactly a great battle for Lightside. They retrieve Obi, which is good, using Leia's text. Darkseid plays Stunning Leader to exclude everybody. That's interesting. Interesting move. Yeah, the site is interior, exterior. Interior, exterior. So he plays the Stunning Leader here, not to save his senators. Those aren't the ones. Those aren't the good senators anyway. Those are just the filler guys. and saves it for this battle to protect his main characters. And now I guess we'll see what else Silverglen has up his sleeve. Whether he's got a sniper dark strike or something like that, um, to take care of Luke. Yeah, it's one of those things where if you're light side and you battle, and they hit one of your guys and then get multiple destinies or something like that, like it doesn't seem like that ends up being like good for you. Everybody dies, or like you have one guy sitting there left by himself who you know might get a counter beatdown put on him. So, but Silverglen's activation is certainly hurting now. Losing the 3 from the hover cam, you have to have a Senate majority for the +3 force activation from that. So since both of his senators are now dead, he does not have the benefit of that additional activation. He does get Maul's double-bladed lightsaber out. So now he's got multiple weapon swings available to him. And his draws are +1 when swinging at Luke. Now, as others has been pointed out earlier, he's not flipped, so his senators aren't Destiny +2 or 3, should they be drawn for Destiny, but there are plenty of other high Destiny interrupts and stuff in the deck. And even if you draw like a 3 for a character and then a 4 or 5 with the +1 from Maul, he should still have a pretty good opportunity here to hit Luke. Yeah, Spidey's definitely in a good upper hand position, but there's not a lot. Well, there's no draining being going on anywhere. It's really just whatever's going to end up coming out of this battle over this one location for right now. And it really makes you start to wonder, like, what are these 11 cards that Silverglen's got in his hand that he can't play, he can't deploy and do things with, but he also doesn't want to draw more cards at this point to get the senators and stuff that he does need, and he certainly didn't want to lose them to any of the draws for the senses for the do or do not, that he ended up peeling other cards instead. And it really starts to make you wonder, like, what the hell is in his hand? I know Silverglen's concern has to be is if Lightside has a Jedi's Concentration, which is a commonly played card in these matchups, they stop all lightsaber swings from happening, and then if they cancel the I have you now, there's a pretty good chance that multiple characters that they lose the battle horribly. But that's not going to be what's going to happen here. We are going to get Maul swinging at Luke. That's a 6. Pretty much anything will hit him with this next Destiny draw. Even that's a hit. He might have a Wisa to subtract 1. He does. Now we'll see if Darkseid has a Sith Fury to redraw it. You always got to be careful when you play modifiers on characters, because then they just end up redrawing it and you wasted your modifier. But alright, so that's a miss. Luke will exchange with the Bionic Hand, throws away a free ride, and he gets back the control tunnel vision, not the leadership. So I'm guessing he's probably got another leadership in hand already. Maul's going to swing a second time. Ouch. Draws the blockade flagship that he hasn't been able to find yet. And a second copy of the hover cam. So Maul goes 0-2, whiffing on Luke there. And now Luke will take a swing at Mr. Maul. Lightmaker, not usually a ship we see, but hey. Oh, he's got the effective repair Starship Lev combo, which lets him take it into hand to redraw that. So I'm guessing there's an Admiral Radis in here somewhere, because Radis pulls that card. He draws a second copy of Luke's lightsaber, so he would have missed. And he draws Narshada, so he's also running his own system. Some terrible destiny. Now I understand why neither of these guys wanted to battle, because their remaining destiny are terrible. All their high destiny cards must be stuck in their hand. Vader's going to try. Third time's the charm, right, Vader? That's a 5 with the squabble, and a 4 according to my design. According to my design. Luke's hit. Does he have anything to make him immediately lost? He's got the Sniper Dark Strike to make Luke immediately lost. Dun dun dun. You won't get the I have you now because Luke's gone. Leia's not a rebel. And Leia's obviously not hit because he had to waste so many swings going after Luke. But it is obviously a big power difference, and he does get rid of the bionic hand. We know he's got a second lightsaber. He just drew it for Destiny, so Darkseid does draw a 5, so they're up 6 over Leia's forfeit now, so anything less than 6 would be overflow. He draws the Hear Me Baby, the card that cancels I Have You Now. So, it looks like it'll be Leia and a card. No need to play the Hujix for this battle. It's just one overflow. Just lose any card. Might even peel a card that Hear Me Baby off the used pile. But he did get the control tunnel vision back into hand, so he can obviously go. He loses strike force off the top, so an extra grabber. Extra grabbers are always good. And now Silverglen can draw a couple cards and try and find some actual senators to deploy. Get his objective flipped. Maybe find some pullers for his activation. It's always the downside to the 12 card starts is you don't usually have any reliable way of getting activation. You rely on those extra cards in your hand to find it for you. But some games you just completely whiff and you get stuck activating 8 and you're like, what do I do with 8? When your opponent's getting 14. So Spidey's going to play the control tunnel vision. He's got 16 cards in his force pile to choose from. Chances are he gets another copy of Luke. The question would be as to where to put him, because you can't exactly run away from Maul, because then they just use this effect and could relocate to him to get in front of you. And knowing that they're playing They Have You Now, obviously that would be bad for Lightside, unless they had some nefarious trap that they lure him into, but with only 8 cards in his hand, right now that doesn't seem all that likely. You could just put Luke down again, pull the second saber, and just try and clear Maul. Again, not ideal, but then again, you also don't want to get drained for 4. So it might kind of be the situation you end up getting forced into, and that is what he opts to do. He's going to deploy Luke. We know the lightsaber's in the reserve deck, but it's also a couple of low destinies hanging out in there as well. I'll get Padme as well. Padme will add a destiny to attrition. If with the Skywalker, add one destiny to attrition. Which also cancels Vader's game text, so she would have been really helpful last turn to prevent Vader from being able to swing his lightsaber. So between, he may not pull the lightsaber this turn. He might just try and just clear him on Destiny. Save the lightsaber for Luke number 3. No, he's going to get it. There's a thought process there that you don't play the lightsaber because you're going to clear them all on Destiny anyway, between the Battle Destiny with Luke adding 1 to it and then Padme adding the Attrition Destiny on top of it. That you would then save the lightsaber, since it's a pretty good chance that your Luke is going to get hit by Maul here with 2 swings, and then you would just save it for later, for whenever you either get it next turn if somehow Luke lives, or get it out on the for the 3rd Luke whenever he hits the table. We know Silverglen has a Gik combo. He took it into hand earlier when he drew it for Battle Destiny, so it's not like you're going to cause overflow by hitting Maul and then, Destiny and whatnot. Senator. And a 5, which becomes a 6. Luke is hit. Kind of expected that to happen, which is why I was talking about not playing the saber in that situation. Luke takes the swing and misses, and there's the "you are beaten" that we were wondering about previously. So Luke got hit, gets excluded with the "you are beaten," making him go immediately lost. But Padme might still clear Maul here, because she still gets a Destiny, and the Destiny to attrition still sticks. And Silverglen will hit. It's not a guarantee, of course. Spidey did shuffle. Oh. Still gets her, though. 5 and a 0. It's not a guarantee. Spidey did draw a couple of low destinies that did get shuffled around back through his deck when he pulled the lightsaber out for Luke. So, Maul's immune to less than 5. Padme may not clear, but between a battle destiny and an attrition destiny, there's a above average chance that that Padme loses here and dies. Well, the 4 for battle destiny, unless he draws the 0 or a 1 that gets subtracted with the dark time. Darkseid draws a 3. There's another senator who should be like a 5 or a 6. And they will add 5 to their total attrition. So Maul will get cleared as well. Everybody dies. Lightside has 3 extra battle damage to deal with. Again, Darkseid winning the battle, so no cards being stacked on a field of conflict. And then we'll see if Lightside wants to lose 3 cards or the Hujix. 3 is usually that number that people start to consider using it. If it's More than that, it's pretty obvious that you should play it. If it's less than that, it's really not worth playing. 3 is kind of that cutoff, that in-between number where it really depends what else you've got going on in your hand and how much you need those cards versus the cards you drew for Destiny and things like that that you've just seen. So, since he did retrieve the lightsaber as well, that's kind of in the middle of his use pile right now, and he may want to protect that. Alright, so turn 5 now. There's not a character on the board. They both have about a dozen cards in their lost pile, and neither objective is flipped. Silverglen, no escapes to get the lightsaber back. See if he's got Darth Maul number 2. Yep, there's Darth Maul number 2, who deploys for free to the Tatooine site there. He'll get his lightsaber, and I guess he's going to go mosey back on over to that cantina. See if he can find something to quench his thirst after being out in that hot desert all day. And we get some senators now. Oh, a Dr. E combo. Alright, so Darkseid came into play this turn a little bit. But they're just throwing down the lonely, measly 1 senator again. While in a Senate majority, opponent may not draw more than 1 battle destiny at battleground sites, but you may not cancel their destiny draws at sites. Well, they're not going to cancel anything here, so they're good there. He draws 2 cards from his force pile, finds a Sonic Bombardment, and plays that, which will get that security tower that he drew for Destiny out of his deck. And get him some activation for next turn. He's basically kind of sacrificing this Senator here to try and get some extra activation as well, get the hover cam working again. Edsel at least forfeits for 5. He's politics 2, so he covers 7. Lightside really shouldn't have any Republic characters left unless they have a second Padme. So everybody else is basically just going to be like a Destiny draw. Looks like we might get into a bit of a race situation here. So there's Luke, number 3, getting the lightsaber back for the 3rd time. And now they can drain for 3 over there, Spidey can, with Luke. Meanwhile, Silverglen can drain for 4 in the Cantina if he uses Maul's lightsaber, but then he's got to lose 1 to do it. So both people would basically be losing 4 cards per turn in this particular trade-off. And then, of course, there is always the risk that Lightside ends up canceling it, which they just played solo, which makes it even more likely that they would cancel it. We know he's got a control tunnel vision in there because he's played it twice. Oh, he's got solo, and he's going to add Rey. And Rey's going to get him a card out of his use pile. Rey could find him a second copy of Control Tunnel Vision, which we've seen Throne Room and Hitco decks running 2 copies of as a Black Sun counter. So this drain in the Cantina is likely to get canceled this turn. So I would be surprised if Silverglen uses Maul's lightsaber. And I'll put a card down with Luke. He's been keeping 2 for a while. Makes you wonder, like, what card is he expecting? Is he looking for like a first strike where he would need to pay for interrupts? Could certainly be a case. Sometimes in these types of aggro decks here with like Senate and Set Your Course and things like that. Um, First Strike is a pretty commonly played card for Dark Side, so he might just be saving a few extra force in case there is an interrupt or two in his hand that he needs to play. The gamble in the Senate plays off. Silverglen gets the extra 3 activation, does not suffer in terms of damage or whatnot. This guy doesn't have the right agenda either, so he would need an actual good senator still to try and flip his objective. I mean, I expect we'll still see him pay 3 to drain for 2 with battle order. Excuse me. But there he is again. He still has a handful of stuff, and he's not putting any of it on the table. Are these all spaceships? This is when you miss, when you really wish you had the replay links, because you could see what the heck is in his hand. They're not location pullers, because he didn't have any locations out forever. Are they just all extra copies of Vaders and Mauls that he just didn't want to use for anything? I mean, he's got the security tower in there, and he's got a Gick in there, he's got an I Have You Now in there. That's 3. What are the other 9? Silverglen does pay 3 finally, does drain for 2 at the Cantina, opts not to respond with the Maul's lightsaber, and Lightside will opt not to respond and cancel it, and instead we'll just top deck 2 cards, losing another Jedi Luke, so that's 3 that's in the lost pile right now, and a copy of Wisa. So if Silverglen could find a way to kill this Luke, some decks run 4 copies, some run 5 copies. I've never seen anybody running 6, but not even Chris Kelly. He should get some senators down and use them. Yeah, I think it's what he would love to be doing too. I don't know if he's just running like 1 copy of like 5 or 6 senators and a couple of squabbles and just hasn't been able to find any of them. I know we saw a lot dot go off the top earlier. And he's drawing Tix and Toonbuck for Destinies. Spideyguy0. This is almost like the movies. Kylo going after Rey with Solo there to protect him and looking for Luke. It's kind of thematic, right? So he's just going to throw Kylo down to basically get overflown. Obviously, we know he's got the Gick, and he saved the Force in case Lightside has Draw Their Fire or something tricky up their sleeve. Because, I mean, yeah, Lightside right now is looking at 16 power, 2 battle destiny, adding 1 to each destiny, and adding 1 to the total from Rey. So you assume you're at 19 before you even draw. So, oh. That's interesting. I wasn't necessarily sure if that's what he would do and move Maul over again. He seems very committed to using this effect to move Maul around as much as possible. So he clearly has a game plan and a strategy, and whether he's got multiple sniper interrupts or things like that to use to hit people and exclude them, maybe another stunning leader up his sleeve, and then he can come over the top. But Dr. E kind of got hung out there a little bit. And again, Spidey's only got 4 cards in hand. He does tunnel vision for something. So he's got plenty of options there. And then I'm sure he's going to have Ray draw him a card as well to see what he's got to work with. I'll probably have about 12 or 13 force when this is all done and 6 cards in hand. Just going to see what he can get because, with light side, with dark side having the Gick, you're very unlikely to you're not going to cause any overflow or any excess damage. So then it becomes more of a, where else can you do damage? Can you go after Dr. E and, get him and do some damage? Well, he doesn't. He would need Chewie. I think that's the only character he'd have left that would have a weapon. He would need Chewie and another character to do it. That would force and draw out the Gick combo, and then whether or not this would be enough here to do enough battle and damage and overflow and clearing all these guys with just one weapon, probably unlikely. Yeah, Chris Kelly's saying he's one of the people who only runs 4 in his decks, which, yeah, it's certainly true looking at his lists. Off topic. Oh, if you go on the forums, my username is Gogolin. You can send me a private message and include all your game links that you want to send me for my Jump game review series. That's the easiest way to do it. So if you have a PC forum account, just go ahead and do that. While we're waiting for these guys to figure out what else they want to do. If you haven't renewed your monthly Twitch Prime subscription, don't forget to do that. That's that little purple button in the top right corner that says subscribe. Make sure you hit that on a monthly basis so we can get the PC some extra revenue, so we can keep doing technology upgrades like the additional cameras and things we had going on at Worlds this year. So Spidey verifies his deck with Boss Nass. They both look. Then he plays solo to play Rebel Leadership from the Lost Pile and takes Akbar into hand. And now he's going to sorry about the mess. So he dug out a low Destiny card first, improving his odds. The question is which guy is he going to swing at? Force Field stops either one. But I guess he's got to announce his target. He's going go big or go home, right? You got to go after Maul. Still, Silverglen does not have an answer for that. No Phantom Menace. No. Oh, wow. 12. Yeah, that's overkill. I would say no Phantom Menace, no Force Field. So Maul is hit and gone. That is the downside to using that effect to bounce Maul around, is you do it, in your opponent's control phase. So then they can sorry about the mess and get rid of your guy. And now we're kind of right back where we started, except Maul's dead again. And it was a non-combo, sorry about the mess as well. So couldn't even have been canceled by something like imbalance. And we saw Silverglen waste his, or not waste, but be forced to use his senses earlier. So he didn't have it available for the non-combo, sorry about the mess. Now he's just going to load up with jabronis at the Ewok village there. We got Chewie with Bowcaster now and Admiral Radis. Did he forget he had the Gick? Or does he just really want to make sure that he plays it? Maybe he's just thinking to turn ahead that, Kylo's gonna hit somebody and then draw Destiny and clear a second guy, and he wants to make sure he's got multiple characters left afterwards. I guess. Spidey draws the Home 1 War Room, another interesting card choice. We've seen Akbar. I guess he's got Akbar Home 1 War Room, and Narshada and Radis and the Lightmaker. Like, that's an interesting space package. Silverglen's going to go after Luke. It draws 2 Senators. If he had been flipped, those would have hit. But they did not. I'm surprised he didn't swing at somebody a little cheaper. You know, hit Chewie, hit Rey, somebody you know you can hit because you want to cause the 1 force loss and not end up losing force yourself. And Spidey draws a 6 total, so he hits Kylo. So and now he gets... Oh, he only gets 1 Battle Destiny because of Edsel. He doesn't get the second draw. Forgot about that guy. And he draws a 4. So he killed Radis. See, that's why you would have liked him swinging at one of these other guys instead, picking off a guaranteed character, making this site a little thinner, if you will. And protecting, causing them 1 force loss for hitting, and you not taking a 1 force loss. So there's the Gick. We'll see if he grabs it. Wouldn't put it past this type of deck to run 2 copies of that, but no, he's going to let it pass. Lightside's got a lot of their characters piled up at one site right now, and I'm going to draw a couple cards here. Darkside will get the Drain in the Cantina for 2, causing a little more force loss. And since there's no Coward shield out, they really want it to be saucy. They could just Drain in the Senate as well, but it's kind of just throwing force away. It's only a 1 card loss there, and you really need to get your guys some help. So, yeah, he would have hit Luke if he was flipped. Yeah, just not finding Senators. And not using the Stunning Leader to protect the Senators he had on the table earlier. He's using it instead to protect Maul in that battle at the Ewok village. Spidey's going to use the Maul strikes. Spidey's going to use his objective. He's going to try and retrieve the Bionic Hand. Silverglen is going to stack Maul strikes from hand on I Feel the Conflict to place the Bionic Hand out of play. So it makes you wonder, how long has he had Maul strikes for? Adds Battle Destiny with the Jedi, 2 if it's Qui-Gon. Qui-Gon can't be played in Hitco, so only 1 there. Doesn't need it to get a lightsaber out. I guess if he was trying to set up some better Destinies together to duel to try and get somebody out of there, I don't know. It seemed like he had opportunities to use it to add Battle Destiny earlier that he passed on. But again, knowing his opponent had the Hujiks, I guess you can't really fault him too much for that. But let's get a life force count here. So Silverglen's got 20 plus 9 in hand for a total of 29. Spideyguy has 19 and 8 in hand for a total of 27. Silverglen's got a drain of 2 at the Cantina. Spideyguy has a drain of 3 set up at the Ewok village. He's also currently retrieving 1 a turn with his objective being flipped. That his opponent could negate by losing a card, so either way it's still additional 1 force swing. Silver activates 3, plays an accelerate to goes and get a copy of the Phantom Menace, and then activates his remaining 9 force. Third time's the charm, right? Pay to drain in the cantina, deploy another maul to the landing site, move over to the cantina. Seems good. Or go crazy with Darth Maul number 3, taking swings at 2 characters and then drawing Destiny and hopefully clearing a third at the Ewok village again. Yeah, I think I would just drain, do the free maul, and then set something else up for later. Oh, there goes Luke number 4 off the top. So Casey, Silverglen, Spideyguy is running at least 5 copies of it. He also loses a 3PO with his parts showing. And now he'll verify what's left in his reserve deck and what his destinies look like, I guess, before he decides what he wants to do. And both sides are forced to pay to drain here, for now at least. And he will pull the Goldenrod shield. Does Spidey. The Goldenrod shield. Opponent to deploy a character, starship, or vehicle for free except by their own game text. They must first use 2 force. So Maul deploys free because of the game text on this site. Maul deploys free here. Wish I could like rotate this, but there you go. Maul deploys free here. Maul here, and the trace was correct. Force drain +2. Only one Ninny plays if the trace was correct in this site, and he's not in this game, so don't have to worry about that. Silverglen instead opts to use Grand Moff Tarkin V to back up the good doctor, and then we'll see if he just goes right through his phases and draws a card or 2, desperately trying to find some more senators. He saves 1. Light side will also get the benefit of using their objective here. During control phase, peek at up to X cards from top of reserve deck. X is the number of battlegrounds you occupy. Take 1 into hand and shuffle your reserve deck. So after he gets done draining here, which he does, Silverglen pitches a 2nd copy of the hover cam. And he'll have 2 more force left to satisfy. Thank you, Dark Jedi Knight, for renewing your subscription for Twitch Prime. We appreciate your loyalty and support. He top decks Expand the Empire and then Accelerate for his remaining 2 force loss. Now we'll see if Spidey wants to use the objective. He basically just takes the top card into hand, because he only has 1 battleground. So he looks at 1 card and then takes it into hand. I don't believe the taking part is optional. Yeah, it just says take 1 into hand. It doesn't say may take 1. So, and then he'd reshuffle. So he could basically draw the top card off his reserve deck if he wanted another card in hand, or he could just leave it there and have 2 Destiny available. In addition to subscribing to us on Twitch, there's also another interesting thing you can do. If you have bits, you can watch ads on Twitch to get those for free, and then you can cheer in the chat. You basically just type cheer and the number of bits you want to cheer, and it will add those bits there, and they're worth like a penny a piece or something like that, but it's a fun little thing you can do to add a little bit more revenue to the players committee. I don't recommend buying them because it gets expensive, and with the ratios and things like that. Um, since Twitch does make some money off that, it doesn't all go to the players committee. You'd be better off just making a donation to the players committee if you wanted to give us money. But if you don't mind watching 30-second ads every once in a while, you can get a few bits here and there, and then you can, during live streams, you can cheer and give them to your favorite webcasters. Speaking of donations, if you didn't see the announcement today, the 2019 PC Donor Program has also just been launched. So be sure and go ahead and review all the different prize tiers that are out there and consider making a donation for that. In the meantime, over here, Spideyguy took his turn and basically paid to drain, deployed Obi, a second copy of Obi, to the Ewok village, retrieved a card, and opted to retrieve 3PO, which Silverglen decided to cancel by stacking P59. I don't know how big of a fan I am of that. I feel like I'd rather have P59 in my hand than my opponent have 3PO floating around through their deck, especially when they don't really have too many cards left. But I guess if he's afraid of his opponent setting up 3PO and being able to cycle something around and just set up a couple of destinies together that he then just kind of loops around throughout the game, that could be a concern. He may just really want to keep his opponent from retrieving any more cards at this point, since, like I said, he won the first game by 6, so he's really just trying to just grind out as many cards as possible off of Spideyguy here. He does pay to drain for 2 in the Cantina. There it is. Presence of the Force on the Jedi Council Chamber. And there goes Darth Maul and Phantom Menace to the Jedi Council Chamber, where that will be a very big drain that light side probably doesn't have any characters left to deal with. It's a battleground because of the presence of the Force. So having something like the Simple Trick Shield wouldn't help. I was wondering if it was going to end up moving somebody at some point into the Jedi Council Chamber, and that's what Spideyguy was saving his 4th shield for, was the Simple Trick Shield, to negate that. And there aren't even really 3 battlegrounds on the table, so unless he's got a way to move people, what's the Odin Nestler First Aid combo? But I think that might only go to exterior sites. I forget exactly how that one works. I don't play it that often. To move any of these guys. Otherwise, they're all just going to be kind of stuck here. I mean, yeah, he can race him, and he can try and out-drain him, but not against this now. So if he's going to just have to find a character or two to just suicide into him and, just try and set up a 5, because Maul's, non-Jedi characters, because Maul's immune to Jedi. So if you had a Yoda or something like that, Yoda would be the worst possible character to do it with. But if he just had, 2 jabroni characters like Captain Hera and somebody else that he could throw down there. Well, and Silverglen gives up the Senate completely and moves Edsel over. Edsel at least has 5 forfeit. So if he were to just draw a 5, he would not clear Maul. He would now need a 6. So that's a wise play by Silverglen to protect his best character, probably his last Maul at this point as well. Oh, and other benefit, Maul deploys -2 to Coruscant, so he got to use that game text and only had to pay 5 for him, which is pretty cool. Spidey is going to use his Obi game text. He's going to exchange a Rebel Leadership and a Tantive 4 from hand, and he's going to get the Control Tunnel Vision back. I don't think he'll be using that Control Tunnel Vision to go look for characters. I think he'll be using that Control Tunnel Vision to cancel a drain at 4. the other big thing about Maul hitting the table again is it flips the objective. He is the chosen one back to the 0 side. Light side can battle for free. Oh, wow. He is going to tunnel vision to go look for a character. I guess he feels like he just doesn't have enough time. Otherwise, canceling that one drain isn't going to make enough of a difference. And Silverglen's going to go ahead and grab it this time around, just to make sure it doesn't come back. So the card that cancel Presence of the Force would be Clash of Sabers, but Crushed Rebellion lets you cancel Clash of Sabers, so that's pretty safe. So unless he's got an altar floating around in his deck, this Presence is going to be fine. Now, if he can alter it, Spideyguy would be in great shape because he would alter it, make it a non-battleground, go ahead and pull the Simple Trick Shield, and just completely negate that. Instead, he's just going to drop a system and deploy Home 1 for all 12 of his force and throw Akbar on there just for hoo-has. Darkseid found a squabble. What? They're going to have a senator. He gets Lot Dodd out. Lot Dodd is a key character that will let him flip if he so chooses. Spidey's going to drop a card from hand back, so he's got something to grab as well. But it looks like Silverglen's in good enough shape here. At the very least, I think he would lose by less than 6 at this point. Yeah, that's true. We haven't seen a Jyn Erso. But he didn't deploy Jyn. And he doesn't have anything to cancel that drain at the Senate. So he's basically, he's already used Solo. He's already used Obi's Exchange. Just trying to think of anything short of an altar, and he's, there it is. Okay, there's the altar. Does Silverglen have 1 sense left back up his sleeve? No. And it's a 4. Okay. That obviously is the game changer right there, canceling that Presence of the Force. Now Silverglen's got to get to a second battleground. Otherwise, this game's over. Somebody points out in chat that he could have used the Phantom Menace. Once per turn, if Maul and table, may deploy a Neimoidian from reserve deck, reshuffle. He could have deployed Lot Dodd from reserve deck. Yeah, he probably could have. I mean, Phantom Menace just hit the table last turn too, so I'm guessing he probably only has, that's probably the only senator he has left at this point, really. But maybe not. Maybe there was a way around it where he could have pulled somebody else and then tried to pull Lot Dodd. So this drain here at the Jedi Council Chamber is now canceled because it's no longer a battleground because of the Simple Trick Shield. Cancels opponent force drains at non-battlegrounds and their retrieval, so they also can't squabble. Not that he has any senators left to squabble at this point, but so in the meantime, Silverglen will at least pay to drain in the Cantina, try and get rid of as many cards as possible. Spideyguy top decks 2. He loses Wedge and Ship and a Rescue in the Clouds. And now he either needs a second Presence of the Force or he needs to get to a second battleground. And the only other battleground on the table currently are occupied by light side characters and ships. He does deploy Lot Dodd, and he does move Edsel over and does flip his objective. While in a Senate majority, once during your control phase, search your force pile, take any 1 card there into hand. Galactic Senate, other Neimoidians are forfeit +2. Unlikely to see that come into play, but oh, that was costly. Silverglen forgot about simple tricks, also negating the retrieval, and he just tried to play Squabble to retrieve and got nothing for it. So that was a once per game retrieval that just got canceled. And I wonder if that'll be the difference. Maybe he just wanted to put a 5 back and didn't want to take a card out of his deck, but I have to believe he legitimately was trying to retrieve there and goofed that up. I could be wrong. He could have just been trying to stack a card back. I'd like to think he's a good enough player that he wouldn't make that kind of silly mistake. Obviously, he knows his drain over here is canceled. He would make sense that he would know his force retrieval is canceled. Yeah. And obviously, Lot Dodd will be able to dig out the presence of the force in a turn or two. But in the meantime, Silverglen's going to pile on. Spideyguy0 going to pile on some force draining here. He's going to get the drain for 3 and 2 and retrieve a card. And he doesn't have to pay for any of it, which is also pretty big. Silverglen's got 15 left down, but Spidey only has 8 and then 4 in hand. So just 1 or 2 more turns, well, 3 more turns to be precise, of this Cantina drain here, and that would put Spidey down to 6 remaining cards, assuming Silverglen keeps stacking cards to keep him from retrieving anywhere. And if you can get that presence of the force back out, that would be game over. I have to assume he's going to activate. I mean, he can activate just about all of it, so. And I'm sure he's going to lose a card or 2 off of his reserve deck. So that'll make sure he can get to the presence of the force next turn and get that back on the Jedi Council chamber. So it still feels like Silverglen's in the driver's seat, but Spidey did drag the game out just a little bit further. He is going to activate that last force, and he draws the bottom card with Ray. So he's got 7 force left face down to work with. He'll drain for 5 here. And Silver's going to empty out his hand, losing a surface defense and EPP Mara. And he top decks Darth Maul number 4. And he's got 2 more to go from the drain at Narshada. That is the big difference, though, obviously, is that Silverglen has to pay for his drains. And with Spideyguy doing 5 points damage a turn, it's not going to be too much longer that Silverglen will be able to afford to pay to drain in both. But the fact that the drain at the Jedi Council chamber is going to become so much larger may end up just being the difference. Now, if Spidey has any characters left and just, once the presence comes out next turn, if he can just throw random dot guy in front of Maul and just hope that he doesn't take the overflow, or if he has any type of control, any extra control televisions left that he could use to cancel that drain and buy himself 1 more turn. It could be worse, something stupid like that, could just drag things out for 1 more turn there. He top decks Dr. E and a Sense from his reserve deck. So he's got 12, Silverglen's got 12 left. Lando Calrissian. Lando goes to the Cantina to block that drain. If Lando gets battled, he would also get to retrieve a force because of Lando's text. So I expect to see he's going to pass. He's not going to battle. He's just going to use him, as a speed bump to block that sight there. If he has any other characters left too, he's at 4 shield pull. I'm saying he could also, if he finds another shield puller or something, he could pull Ultimatum, and then he could just throw a random guy down here to face these guys, and then the Maul Drain would get capped at 2 with the Ultimatum, but I don't know that Spideyguy's got access to a 5th defensive shield. Yeah, both Solo and Obi have both been used already. Yeah, he did try and go get the Hear Me Baby back to get that extra shield, and Silverglen's going to stack the I Have You Now that he took earlier to negate that force retrieval as well. And now he'll pay the upkeep for the maintenance cost on Lando, and he'll save 1, which he'll get to use to retrieve 5. So Silverglen shuffles his deck with Crush at the start, looking at the 10 cards he's got left. I guess Presence was on the bottom, and he didn't want to just leave it sitting there. So he's going to try and shuffle it around, and then I guess he can use his objective to look as well, so he can activate that far, and then use his objective and verify what this destiny is. The objective looks for political effects. Once per turn, take a political effect into hand from reserve deck. So we can use that to verify what this card is, make sure it's not the Presence of the Force, but I guess he opts not to do that. And instead he's just going to go right to control phase, use Lot Dodd, pick a card, any card. It's Presence of the Force. He's got no drains available, so we'll see Presence of the Force come down here. And then the question would be could he overflow Lando? Unlikely, because Lando's going to add this 5 to his power, so it's going to be 11-11. Say if Silverglen had another character, I don't know, Dooku or somebody like that, would it be enough to cause overflow? And based on what these guys are, the answer is probably no. Now he's going to check what his destiny is. Oh, never mind. He's going to... Spideyguy did not play the Senate Shield, so he's going to have 2 random cards pulled out of his hand, because that's the other thing the Senate objective does. During your control phase, use 3 force to place up to 2 random cards from opponent's hand into their used pile. So now he does that in case there was a second altar or something like that. Maybe he just put it back, which is really going to throw a bit of a monkey wrench. And then the Presence of the Force comes out, as we have been talking about. Probot comes down. Lando's still going to get to retrieve that 5, gets 1 more card back, and gets him up to power 11. So highly unlikely that there's any overflow here. Yeah, definitely not any overflow, just the shuttle. Oh, there's the light maker. So Darkseid wins another battle, doesn't have to stack any cards, fortunately. And they can just throw away any particular character they want. They lose Probot. Lando has to go. And it's all going to come down to this. Silverglen's going to need 6 force to be able to pay to drain in both of these spots. He's got 10, 13 left total. And he's going to get drained for 5, which is going to take him down to 8. So he should have just enough to be able to pay to drain in both of these spots and cause 6 force loss, which takes Spideyguy down to 6. And then Silverglen's got to go for the risk, I guess, of pitching the extra card. Maybe not, because if he's at 8 and then he loses 5 more, that takes him down to 3. He'd still be able to pay to drain one more time, presumably. I guess we'll see what Spideyguy does here. Since he doesn't have to pay to drain, he can certainly use these 2 force to do 2 cards in hand to possibly try and block one of these drains. Most of these OCS games have been really close. Almost all of them have been less than 10. And this one is certainly living up to that expectation. And then after the game, we'll go ahead and update the bracket, and then we'll look at what our top 8 matchups are and what those games look like a little bit before we wrap it up and sign off tonight. So Silverglen pitches from hand to the drain of 3, the shuttle. The Emperor from hand. Then he top decks the shuttle and ticks. That leaves him with 8 cards face down. He top decks a force push. And he top decks the bridge. So he's got 6 cards left face down, which is exactly enough to pay to drain in both spots, and 2 cards remaining in hand. What does Spideyguy have left? I think we're all pretty much can agree at this point. It looks like Spideyguy wins this game. Silverglen's going to have the inability to pay to drain for much longer. Just another turn or so is really all the best he can do. So he's just trying to find a way to get those last couple cards out to get it under 6. Otherwise, we're counting lost piles, which we have not done yet. In this OCS match, we haven't had to count lost piles yet, but it is something that does tend to happen on occasion in these match play type scenarios. Yeah, if he pitches a card, he is. If Casey has a way to cancel the drain or something like that, it's one of those 2 cards in hand. Or if he just has a character he can stick in front of them all to block that drain for 1 turn, then Spidey should win by more than 6. So and if Silver pitches a card and Spidey finds a way to cancel the drain or something like, or at least, reduce the drain somehow, then that only leaves Silverglen with 7 cards remaining. So then when he gets drained for 5, he goes down to 2 and can't afford to pay to drain that last turn. That might be in the back of Silverglen's head. Might be making him think that, is he checking to see what the lost pile counts were the first game, to find out where exactly he's at if they did tie at +6. What the lost pile totals were from game 1. I don't know offhand what those lost pile counts were, but I'm trying to pull up the game link on my laptop right now, just so I can skip to the end and find out what exactly those details were. Thankfully, some really awesome guy went ahead and put like all the game replay links and everything in one easy to follow spot. He looks for a docking bay to verify, doesn't find it. Captain Hera. Hera does not get a destiny by herself. But she does block a drain. She would take overflow. Actually, she would get a destiny because she's with an Imperial. So she will block the drain of 2. And then he's going to draw big. And he's down to 6 remaining cards face down. With the grabber already used, he'll play a Wisa to cycle another card back. Oh, thanks for pulling that up, Tartag. So for those of you listening and not looking, Spideyguy had 34 cards in his lost pile. Silver had 32, so there was only a 2-card difference between them. So at this point, there's a larger difference than that. Obviously, Spidey's going to lose some more cards here, but I think right now it would look like Spidey would be slightly ahead on lost pile counts. And because of the way Silver lost cards last turn and protected the 2 cards he has in his hand, he's going to go for broke, losing a card from hand to add 2 to the drain and make it a drain of 6 with the lightsaber. And Spideyguy does not have any way to cancel it. That's going to do it. That'll be just enough. So he pitches the home 1 War Room, Bright Hope. So we had lots of space. Bright Hope, Tanif, Lightmaker, home 1. Jedi Lev, top decks, heading, top decks, Awisa. And top decks, a Rescue in the Clouds. That puts him down to 4 with 1 card in hand. It was another copy of Squabble. That was the card that he was protecting, that he was clutching. And it's going to get grabbed finally. Yeah, the 1 card he has in his hand is on the edge. That would be interesting. Although Secret Plan's out, I don't know that he actually would matter because he's going to drain for 5, and that would do it. However, Hera here is looking at possible overflow. She covers 6. So he's down 11 right now. She covers 6. So anything under a 5. Okay, so he had a 6 there. Okay, so no overflow. Now Spideyguy has to wonder, was that goldenrod shield really worth it? Spideyguy did protect that one card that's in his hand. I guess the question is what is it? He's still playing, so he's playing like he's got something to play for. Nope, he's just going to activate all 4. Train for 5. Which takes Silverglen all the way down to 1 card remaining. He can put the card back with Luke from his hand onto his force pile. So he would then win the game by 5. But comes up just 1 card short. Or has he been slow rolling us the whole time? Dun dun dun. Is he just going to let his timer run? No, he's moving through his phases. Is he going to drop and just end the game? Nope, he's just going to pass it over to Silverglen. Silverglen will activate the 1 force. If he were smart, he would just dot it, take it into hand, and be done with the game right now. Starship Levitation. We're going to Lost Piles. He's going to retrieve a ship. That's what he had left. Effective repairs and Starship Levitation. Retrieve an effect of any kind or a non-immune to sense or non-maintenance starship into hand. It goes into hand though. Ugh. And that's the lost text, of course. So Spideyguy is your winner of this game by 4. However, Silverglen will win the match. So let's go update our bracket and look and see where we're at right now. Well played match by both guys. So let's go open our bracket up. So Silverglen will advance narrowly. And that's what we got for our next round. We've got a Rebel Spy versus No Limit. These guys have worked together in the past on some decks leading up to Worlds this year, so it should be interesting to see how they play against each other. Then we've got Profundity and RLMD. RLMD just got done playing a KTOD member in Stevie Getz. Now he gets another one here in Profundity. And then in the bottom half of the bracket, we've got the two remaining KTOD, the other two KTOD members. We've got Mr. Yellow taking on Silverglen, who just advanced. And then we've got Werfs and All Stars 97. So should be some very interesting games here. Obviously, as they get scheduled, keep checking the same spot in the forums because we'll keep posting updates and try and stream these matchups as well. But yeah, these should be some very interesting games. And then obviously, there's the prediction contest. 34 people submitted brackets, and I know a lot of people had both Darth Link or Zlorfic in the finals or winning the whole thing, and they both were eliminated in the first round. So there's a lot of broken brackets out there right now, and still could be anybody's game, seeing whatever happens next with this next round of matchups. There will be the update push through to GEMP. That will happen first. That will change the errata is going to go through for the Planetary Defensive Shield and the Shadows of the Empire effect. That will change the Black Sun deck a bit for Dark Side. That'll get pushed through tonight, tomorrow, and then I'm sure these guys will start scheduling their next round of matchups, and then we'll get them posted, and then we'll stream them, and then everybody will be happy and have plenty of Star Wars to watch, whether you're at work or just watching the replay from the last game while you're at work or sitting on your couch, whatever you're doing. So thank you guys very much for watching all these games in the first round. Thank you to Queso and for doing a few of them, and for Tom Kelly for doing his own games, making it easier for us. And we will look forward to seeing you in the next couple days with some updates and some top 8 matchups. So have a great night.